You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Haristodoulou.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to more of the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Haristodoulou. Happy July 4th. The USFL season is officially behind us as the Birmingham Stallions finished off the Philadelphia Stars in what was a very exciting finish, 33-30. I've got to say, I think back to before the season started, when we had the draft and then, the legal issues with the real USFL, and just from the beginning of the season where you could tell that these teams were fairly new to each other and everyone was still trying to, they were working out the kinks. Offenses looked a little sloppy. Defenses felt a little bit further ahead than the offenses did, to the show-stopping championship game and even just playoffs overall that we just had the last couple of weeks. If you can't look at the USFL and say that that was a success, I do not know what you were watching for the last 12 weeks. I had the same feeling last night and looking at everything this morning that I had when the Super Bowl wrapped up earlier this year, of happiness, excitement, joy, but also sadness that, the season was over and that it's going to be an entire another year before we see another season of USFL action. The USFL stepped in and did something that I think, deserves all the credit in the world, because so many spring football leagues have started up over the last few years. The Alliance of the American Football League, the XFL, who folded because of COVID, just with so much uncertainty surrounding spring football leagues, Fox and the USFL, that whole organization, all of those people, the players, the coaches, the media people that put everything together, every single person that was a part of that entire process from start to finish deserves the utmost credit, because they put together a product that I don't think anyone quite expected to be as good as it was by the time everything wrapped up. It was really unlike something we've seen before, with some of the cool camera angles, the unprecedented access to what the referees were talking about amongst each other when they were reviewing plays, just talking to Mike Pereira, listening to him, just seeing football in a way that you quite not have experienced it before. It was awesome from start to finish, and God damn, was this a good championship game. It exceeded my expectations, I'm going to be honest. I wasn't sure that this game would be that high scoring, especially considering how good the Stallions defense has been this year, but I mean, from the beginning of the game, Bo Scarborough mauling through people, averaging over 10 yards a carry at 135 yards on the night, a touchdown to boot, and he had that massive 70-yard run that was nearly called back, but because of the way the USFL handles reviews, being able to look at the blindside block replay and determining it wasn't a blindside block at all, and then they got the extra 6 yards tacked on top of that because of the penalty yards from the defense. There was just unbelievable performance from the first half. The ground game for the Stallions, it proved to be too much. It was one of the keys that I talked about going into the matchup that I was worried about with the Stars, their defense and just their inability to stop the run. And it showed up again in this game here and was probably one of the biggest deciding factors into why not the Birmingham Stallions, why the Philadelphia Stars could not get the job done. It's one of those things where if you cannot stop a running game, it is demoralizing, it is defeating. You're getting just completely overmatched and outmuscled from start to finish, and it's one of those things that if you can't slow down a ground game, especially early on, it is going to wear your defense down and amount to a defense being able to, the Birmingham Stallions offense to put up, 26 points or whatever it was that they totaled on offense, minus the pick six that they had late in the game. But, the ground game was effective, and then the passing game, Jamar Smith, up until that, the late portions of the third quarter when he went down with an injury, looked really, really good. He started to slip a little bit in the second half there. The first half was definitely his time to shine. He really looked good in that first half there. Some excellent throwing from him. Shout out to the Birmingham Stallions, man. From start to finish, the offense, the defense, the special teams, everything just looking like a full-fledged championship team from start to finish, and giving the Philadelphia Stars some fits early on. But I do want to credit the Stars as well, man. I mean, from Case Cookus playing out of his absolute mind behind an offensive line that was struggling at times, and he was getting rocked until the very last play where he broke his fibula and had to come out of the game. Cookus was 17 of 19 to... That's not right. 17 of 29. Excuse me. I typed that in wrong on my notes. 222 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. He was fighting until the very end. And ultimately, where things kind of went wrong for the Stars, and I talked about this as well, they didn't have a super balanced attack. The running game, not quite what it was without Colburn. It was solid, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't quite what it was with Colburn in the backfield. And I do think that they missed him. While they got some really good production from the running backs, especially in the passing game, catching them out of the backfield, I will say that I feel like if there was one thing, and that's Case Cookus going down aside, having not as aggressive of a rushing attack and one that, you know, forces the Stallions to maybe stack the box a little bit more to really open things up and help Case Cookus play even better than he already did. I think that there is a piece of that was missed in not having Colburn in this game. And I know that the Stars really wished he was out there for that one. But hats off to Case Cookus, man. Best quarterback in the league this season, without a doubt. I mean, I mentioned it before in the comments and hadn't really talked about it too much. For all the love that like Kyle Sloter got, Case Cookus, man, he was quarterback of the year, and he was putting on one hell of a performance before he went down. And, you know, him going down was really the nail in the coffin, I would say, because KJ Costello coming in, throwing that pick six on his first pass to Scooby Wright really put them behind the 8 ball, and it was a little too much and was kind of like the nail in the coffin for the Stars there. And they even still kept it close because KJ Costello bounced right back. He had that touchdown pass to Chris Rowland, literally the drive right after, and he led the way. It was like a 58-yard scoring drive, but, you know, what a game. I'm still just kind of like at a loss. What a game it was. I mean, there's just so much to like. Christian McFarland with the interception to seal the game at the end in Birmingham territory. This game had everything from start to finish. It was emotional. It was fun. It was exciting. You know, that you were on the edge of your seat. Both quarterbacks for both teams, the starting QBs went down for injury and both backups came in. And, you know, again, KJ Costello, he had the back-breaking interception, but he bounced right back. And, you know, the drive afterwards led the team right down to the field and scored. Kind of just was like, let me wipe the memory clean. That didn't happen. Let me drive down the field. Alex Magoo, who had a very rocky season, I guess you could say, in the limited action that he saw, coming in and against all odds, and in a Philadelphia Stars team that did the same thing to him pretty much, intercepting him on his first drive, turned right around, 64-yard drive through a game-winning touchdown pass to the game MVP and Victor Bolden Jr. to not seal the game, but take the go-ahead score there. This game had everything from start to finish, and I can't believe the amount of people that I hear still kind of laugh it off as just the spring football league with all the rejects, because this was awesome from the beginning to the end. I feel like I'm fangirling over here, but, you know, rightfully so, because it had everything. This game was just as exciting as the Super Bowl was in terms of just the play and the drama that went on in it. And, you know, there was some chippiness going on in the game. You felt it. It had the championship big game feel. The presentation was there. The ending celebration for the Stallions. It was an awesome game to watch. I want to shout out Victor Bolden Jr. I mentioned it quickly there, but game MVP for him. Outstanding performance. He had 6 receptions, 64 yards, the go-ahead score to take the lead when the Birmingham Stallions fell behind, pulling out another comeback victory. He also had 4 returns totaling 92 yards, a big reason why the Stallions were able to do so well offensively and keep finding the end zone. The credit has to be given to the special teams and Bolden's ability to put them in such good position. He was averaging nearly 25 yards a return. When you're starting at like the 50-yard line every single time you get the ball, or even like at the 45 on your own side of the field, you're traveling half the field or maybe a little bit more every time to get down there. I mean, just an outstanding performance from him. He definitely deserves it. I thought, you know, maybe there was some other people that could get the award, but when you just think about the impact, the go-ahead score, the catches that he made in key moments, and just what he did on special teams, I think, you know, very well deserved for Victor Bolden Jr. That guy, if he's not on an NFL team, or at least in like a camp this offseason or this coming summer, like towards into the regular season, I'd be a little bit shocked, because Victor Bolden Jr. was one of those players that kind of stood out above the rest, and he did all season long, and he showed up in the biggest stage and put on a show for the USFL, I've got to say. Now, going forward, with the USFL season officially done, championship game is settled, 33-30. Stallions are the first champions since like the mid-'80s. What do we do from here, my USFL fans? Well, I will cover anything regarding the USFL as we roll through the offseason. I will give this league as much attention as I do the NFL during the NFL season. Obviously, things will probably be quiet for a little bit. There won't be a ton to talk about. I will mention, USFL players who are making the jump over to the NFL. If any of them end up doing so, I will be sure to get in on all of that talk with you guys as well, because it has been an absolute pleasure of mine to be able to cover a league, and something that was supposed to be just kind of like a side project for my channel during the NFL's offseason turned into a full-fledged, literally half of my week was dedicated to the USFL and talking to a lot of you guys and meeting a bunch of you, chatting with you guys in the comments. It's been an awesome experience. I've even to the point where I'm talking to some of you guys on my socials as well. It's been a blast. So this league will get just as much as attention, and I will give it all the attention as possible while we roll through the offseason for the USFL. But going forward, NFL offseason is getting close to wrapping up. We're now in July. Training camp is starting fairly soon. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about as that gets going here. Giveaway for the channel is coming up. We are rocketing to 500 subs a lot faster than I expected. So make sure, if you're watching me for the first time here, you hit that subscribe button. Once we hit the 500 number, I'll do an announcement video. I'm giving away show shirts that look pretty similar to this one. I think I am going to change the design. I have not decided yet, but odds are it's something similar to this, maybe a different color shirt. Maybe the logo presentation's a little bit different on there, but we will be giving away show shirts, and these things are comfy. I will promise you that anyone that I've given this shirt to already has said the same thing over and over and over again. It's a fantastic shirt, great quality, super comfortable. I've had these now for roughly a year or so, give or take, somewhere around there. Logo's not coming off, and I wash these things multiple times a week because I'm constantly needing to wash them from wearing them places, wearing them while I'm doing recordings with you guys, whatever it may be. But that's it. USFL season is done and done. I appreciate you guys for hanging out through the entire season. I'm looking forward to the next opportunity to talk about the USFL with you guys. Hopefully it is sooner rather than later. If any of these players start signing deals as we get closer to training camp with any NFL teams, I will be sure to talk about them, and we'll get into great detail about it. If any players maybe end up signing with the USFL, we'll obviously be talking that as well. So just keep your eye out for things. But it has been an absolute blast covering the USFL this season with you guys, and I look forward to doing it again, hopefully again sooner rather than later. Appreciate you all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.